The city of Wilmington, Delaware is the most dangerous small city in the country, topping national lists for violent crimes, sex crimes, and murders. But now there's a new chief in town. How does he plan to keep this city safe? That's our topic today as we sit down with Wilmington's new police chief, Bobby Cummings. This is the Delaware Way. Hi, this is Larry Menti. Welcome to the Delaware Way. Do a Google search and put in Wilmington and crime, and you will see it at the top of the list of the most dangerous cities in America. As a matter of fact, a couple of lists call it the most dangerous small city in America. And now the man who has been called in to help clean that up is sitting with me here right now. The new police chief of the city of Wilmington, Bobby Cummings. First of all, sir, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Larry.
Congratulations on the job. However, I'm not sure there's a whole lot of people that would want that job, although I heard there was 50 applicants. So yes. You have a monumental task ahead of you.
That's correct.
Your city has the distinction, and you grew up here.
I did.
You came up through the force.
Yes.
But now it is on your shoulders to try to bring down those crime statistics.
Yes.
What's your plan?
Well, we have a plan that calls for us trying to rebuild relationships and rebuilding strong communities. That's a major component of what we need to do. When you have a community where there's not a lot of trust in the police department, not a lot of trust throughout the city, the first way you attack that is to rebuild those relationships. And we're doing that by getting out in the communities, getting our officers out of the cars, back on the street, again, and reintroducing themselves to the community. And then as a command staff, we're also out in the streets during the evenings, walking around the different communities where we're having a lot of violent issues. So again, it comes back to reestablishing relationships in the communities and the level of trust.
Let's take an example. Just recently, just within the last couple of weeks, a woman is walking out of a convenience store, a corner grocery store, stray bullet kills her. How does helping with community relations stop that crime?
Well, the relationships really doesn't stop that crime, but what it does is it gives you more information about what's happening. It causes people to understand why they should not be doing certain things in a particular area. A lot of that's going to fall back to what a lot of people have been saying, education, jobs, the fact that there are people who are in the community, again, who see no hope and that's for them. So building relationships again and getting that level of trust just comes back to getting people to understand why they need to be neighborly again. And like you said, it's not going to be an easy task, but it's something that we're geared up to do.
Right, when you talk about education and you talk about the economy and you talk about all of those factors, and nobody would argue that those aren't factors that contribute to crime, they're all long-term.
Yes.
I don't think you have long-term, do you? I mean, you've got it on you right now to fix this, no?
I do, yes.
So how, is there something aside from just, do you need more men, for instance?
Well, more officers would obviously help. However, that's not the answer because, again, you can have 1,000 police officers. It's what goes into the community.
But you don't have 1,000 police officers.
No,
How many
don't.
do you have?
We're authorized 320.
320 for the problems you have doesn't seem like enough. Do you need more than that? Could you use more than 320? I mean, if you, in your perfect world, how many officers would you like?
Well, if I had about 370 officers, which is about 50 above our authorized strength, it would allow us to do some deployment kind of operations where we could have a long-standing homicide unit that can investigate some of these crimes. However,
let me just stop you for a
yes.
second. You don't have a homicide unit?
Not one that stands alone, no.
You're the most violent small city in America and you don't have a homicide unit?
I would say by per capita numbers, we're listed to be that. And again, perception goes a long way into what people think. And when you're just looking at numbers alone, it says that we're the most violent. But I've grown up in this city all my life, and I would not trade this city for any other location in the United States.
No, I understand, and I want to stay on this for a moment. And obviously, you're not you just took over. So
yes.
Well, let's keep pointing out you just got into the job May 30th, and you are assigned with the task of trying to fix this.
Yes.
So here you're assigned with the task of trying to fix this, and you don't have a homicide unit. You want to stop murders in a city, and you don't have a homicide unit. That, to me, and to most outsiders, would seem unproductive at best, ridiculous at worst.
Well, I kind of disagree with that, because a homicide unit is going to be investigating crimes that have already occurred. What we need to get to is a level of preventing crimes before they happen. So we have a deployment strategy where we've divided our city up into 3 parts, where we have commanders that are in charge of certain areas of the city, and they're giving lieutenants who also work with them with a core set of officers that are responsible to one particular area. And as a commander of a particular area, you have the responsibility to know what those occurrences are that are happening in the area. You are expected to know the residents, the businesses, any kind of special events that are going within the area. So when you are responsible for one particular area, you have your finger on the pulse of that community. And that's how we divided out our city.
I understand that.
Yes.
But if you're going to commit crimes in the city, and violent crimes, and you know there's a good chance you're not going to get caught because there is no homicide unit, that does hurt, wouldn't you say, in preventing homicides?
Yes.
So in a perfect world, you should have a homicide unit.
A homicide unit would help, yes.
Where would you get that money?
Well, part of that would come through being authorized to increase our strength. The monies would come through either city coffers and or state. And then obviously there are COPS grants that come out from time to time that we're able to hire other officers. However, those COPS monies, again, they die off at some point. And then the city would have to be in a position to maintain those officers through their own coffers.
Because, as I just said a moment ago, at the worst, I think this is ridiculous. And so what I want people to know is who they have to call, what they have to do, because it seems outrageous that you're put in a position to try to stop the violence in the city, and they don't give you the resources to do it, and you don't have a homicide unit in a city that has a problem with homicides. So when you want to get authorization to increase your force, who do you go to, or who should people call to make certain you have the resources for that?
Well, when I request resources, it initially goes to the mayor's office.
Okay, so it's the mayor that should be able to say to you, and by the way,
yes,
I would believe that the #1 responsibility of the mayor of a city is to keep it safe.
Yes, public safety is #1.
So I'm not going to assume that he doesn't want to do this. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and
yes,
think he's going to say, hey, that's a great idea. We should have a homicide unit. Let's increase to 370 would be good?
Yes.
So you're understaffed even with the authorized number, but you're understaffed even, you could have 320, you're still understaffed.
That's correct.
It comes to the point where it doesn't seem like you would be able to do your job effectively because they're not giving you the resources to do your job effectively.
I mean, you can say that in a sense. However, it's like any job that you have. You take your resources that you do have and you try to be most efficient with what you're working with. And I think we have a good group of officers that are capable of doing their jobs. But like you say, anytime you can add to that only helps. I've
interviewed a lot of police chiefs over the years. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they dislike about the job, once they get it, they like the police work.
Yes.
They hate the political aspect.
Again, that's a part of the job, the political aspect. I've not been one who come through my career in the political realm of the game, which I will call it. But it is a necessary part of what we do. I spend more time in meetings and meeting with different individuals and groups, making sure that we get the right information, that we get the right resources. But I guess that's what the chief's role is, to do these things. So you do step away from being an actual police officer on the street. However, what we do and what we've done with my staff is, because we're trying to build relationships, and we're asking our officers to get out of the vehicles and go out and talk to the residents and building relationships. We've done that as a command staff. So I schedule a couple days a week with my command staff, and we go out into the neighborhoods during the evenings, and we meet with our different residents throughout the city, because you have to feel a level of, #1, that we're not untouchable, that you have to be able to reach out to the police, and not just the police, but also the command staff. And we're out there making those ties. Because again, I know a lot of people around the city. I've grown up in just about every part of this city, and I know people out there, but they need to know that they can come and talk to you and they can reach out and feel you.
I also want to talk about some specific crime problems when we come back: heroin, gangs, and a police procedure that seems to have worked in other cities but is controversial: stop and frisk. When our conversation with Police Chief Bobby Cummings from Wilmington continues on the Delaware Way.